What is up, internet and podcast community? My name is Cameron King. This is Three Questions Podcast, episode number 8. I've put together a list of 3 questions that I want to tackle that I feel I am trying to answer and sort of not really struggle with, but I'm trying to get to the bottom or what these answers really truly mean to me. So I want to kind of share another vulnerable podcast. I wrote these 3 questions and I'll get to them in a second. As you know, CK Collective, it's sort of a legacy company for me. Started out as a marketing and advertising agency during COVID. Then it transformed into hybrid, personalized, and professional coaching for entrepreneurs, small business owners, C-level people, anybody who's looking to sort of level up in their life. This is my second podcast that I've started. I really enjoy this. I'm trying to put together quick hitting content, something that is purposeful, useful for you, about 15 to 20 minutes that you can listen to at 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, whatever speed you want to listen to your podcast and get a little bit of information. I'm trying to stretch your brain. I work in one of 2 ways. Number one, I do hour-long recorded Zoom calls that comes with free WhatsApp, voice, and text coaching in between. And those are for tiered pricing on my website. If you're looking to build a long-term project or looking to sort of level up in your own career, those are the best ways to do it, week in, week out, even bi-weekly. I have about 6 or 7 current clients there. The other way, I have 7 or 8 clients on my CMO for Hire platform, which is a one-time fee where if you are thinking about establishing a business or have an established business or side project, that is for people who can pay a one-time fee and have unlimited 30-minute meetings with me. I think that's the best way, and it is a smoking deal. That's for a couple $100. You can do that right now. Anyways, if you want to be a guest on 3 Questions Podcast, you can now go to 3 Questions Podcast on ckcollective.co and sign up to be a guest. I'll submit you questions. We can talk about it beforehand. Bam, you can put out your 15 minutes of knowledge and wisdom and promote your side business as well. So you can register for free online, but I want to get to the original podcast here. Okay, so number 1, here we go. What should you do after a breakup? I think a lot of people that I've worked with, a lot of my clients as well, they've been through breakups in the past, or they've been through divorces, or they've had struggles in one of their intimate relationships, okay, with a partner. And me, myself, I went through my second rough breakup last fall, so end of September, and it kind of pandered to the end of the year, sort of on Lifeline, where I tried to work it out. And coming into 2023, that was a type of energy I did not want to bring into the new year. And I found myself doing pretty good for a couple weeks, but really trying to fill that space with other vices, right? Going out with the guys, having a few too many beers, right? Going to shows, being really impulsive. And I found that I hadn't really gave myself enough time to fully grieve the end of that relationship or accept a loss. And instead, I let my ego in the driver's seat a little bit too much. And that has sort of caused me a little bit of pain. So I want to dive into what you should really do after a breakup, because I know better. I knew better. And I thought I could still not do all of the things I knew that I should have been doing. And I want to put this out there again as a little bit of a vulnerable aspect of me, because I'm a human being. I do not know everything. I am starting this podcast because I believe that being vulnerable means being vulnerable to myself, honest with myself, and also allows other people to sort of learn from some of my mistakes. So what I did by going out drinking and not really taking the time to meditate or to journal or to spend time with myself before I went out again with the guys, or I hopped on dating apps, or I began, DMing hot chicks that I thought might be interested in me sliding into their DMs. No, I was doing all of the wrong things. And I think my ego was starving for attention. My ego was starving for validation. I was lonely. I hadn't really learned to love myself and my whole self again. And I see a lot of men, I see a lot of my clients also doing the same thing. Okay. And it is very difficult for us in the modern age to just sit with our own pain. Okay. There's a reason why we can't even stand in line sometimes at the grocery store without pulling out our phones, without checking in on stuff. And what this tends to do is it tends to just keep putting a Band-Aid over the wound over and over and over again, or we try and distract ourselves, or we try to fill that hole that we held space for someone for so long. and it does not fill it the same way. Okay, if you have a hole in cement, you can't just put water in that, you can't just put sand in that. It takes time. You have to put together the right mix in order to sort of smooth that over. And heartbreak changes us. Okay, heartbreak changes us for the good, because love literally highlights and resonates with the same part of the brain that cocaine and alcohol and highly addictive substances do. Okay, it gives us a lot of dopamine when we see our person, when we have sex, when we spend time with them. Those dopamine pathways in our brain literally are super addictive. Okay, therefore we can scientifically look at love as being a type of addiction to another human being, or a type of addiction to a feeling, the same way that cocaine or alcohol or chocolate or cheese or sex will all give us that same, highlighted highway of dopamine in our brains. So when we look at it scientifically, sure, that's fine. But how do we scientifically heal a heartbreak? I don't know that anyone knows this. And I feel like so much of the content that goes out there is sort of just reference from individual stories. But what I will say is this. I think after a split or after the end of a relationship, there's so much emotional energy that needs to be, it's like the Big Bang, and you have to let all of that dust and energy sort of settle before you can start looking at the pieces and sort of decide to know what to do with them. If you start to act too early and you're running around trying to catch bubbles in the air or pieces of cosmic stardust, whatever metaphor you want to use, that is wasted energy, right? Sitting down and spending time with yourself, really understanding, hey, what went wrong? What were some of the things I did? What were some of the things they did? Can I forgive myself? Can I forgive that person? And spending at least a month or two, or maybe even 3 by yourself, not drinking because alcohol is a depressant, and then really just honoring yourself and doing what you need to do, the small things each and every single day, going into nature, spending time with friends, catching up on old music, getting involved in an old hobby or a new hobby, and really just learning to be a different kind of version of yourself is the right way to do this. Unfortunately, that's not what I did in this scenario, and it is something that I now need to do later on in the process. So I am at the beginning of that road, and my 5 minutes for this question are up, but I hope that highlights some things about what you should do sort of after a breakup. Question number 2, how do you really focus on yourself? Okay, this is really the second part of the first question that I feel like I've been trying to answer myself, okay, which again comes after a breakup. But how do you really focus on yourself? And here's what I came up with, because this is exactly what I meditated on earlier this morning, and I wanted to put this out there for you guys. In order to focus on yourself, you have to stop seeking external things. Okay, that was the message that came to me in my validation, in my journaling, in my dreams last night. And what that means for me is focusing on myself means not focusing on other people. It means getting off of social media. It means stop watching so much YouTube. Okay, it means stop watching so much TV. Okay, stop trying to figure out what other people are doing on Snapchat. Stop trying to ask what people are doing this weekend, and just think about the things that I want to do for myself. So for me, in sort of this rebuilding or this healing process, I'll say, for me, focusing on myself means really doing the things I want to do. Yesterday, I went for a 3-hour hike in the woods in the rain here in North Carolina. I thought it was beautiful. I was able to call my dad, talk to him for an hour and a half. I was able to call my grandmother. I spoke to her for an hour and 15 minutes. And then even last night, I called my brother and I spoke to my brother. We FaceTimed for about an hour, just catching up on random things. When you focus on yourself, right? And you might say, hey, that's still focusing on other people. But when you focus on yourself, you focus on the things that you really care about, that are within arm's reach to you. For a lot of us, yes, that's friends and family. But for me, focusing on yourself means not trying to create plans and just enjoying what comes my direction. Okay. Allowing the universe and giving the universe enough space to sort of create something. And even if that something is nothing, right? Call it nothing box time. That's time for me to read a book that's been on my bookshelf for a long time that stares at me in the face. Okay. It is going to the gym for 2 hours with having nothing to do before or after. It is me going to do a track workout. It's me walking my dog in new places. It's me building my website, building my business, doing outreach. It's me really doing the things that I want to do. And I see so many people, right? Everyone, guys my age, guys younger, they cannot just focus on themselves. We live in a world where we have to know what everybody else is doing all of the damn time. And we don't really allow space for us to sort of do nothing. You want to sit around and watch football all day? Fine, that's cool, right? But you're still kind of focusing on other things and distracting yourself. For me, focusing on yourself means sitting with myself, learning how to love myself, learning how to accept myself, learning how to really listen to my intuition, find ways to really listen to my awareness, and spending more time understanding who I am at the end of the day and being like, okay, do I like that person? Do I like this part of myself? Is there something I wish to add to my life? And then imagining in 50, 60 years, I'm 80, 90 years old. How am I going to look back on this period of my life and say, wow, you really got to know yourself. You did some cool stuff back then. Or, hey, no, you were still bullshitting around, chasing women, trying to party just to fill the void. Those aren't the things that I want to say I did at this age decades from now. So sitting with myself, I allow my brain to sort of go in these directions and sort of be like, what's the sort of legacy I want to leave behind? What's the sort of good that I can put in the world? How can I give back? How can I be there for other people? How can I bring my own energy up so that I become a man that is a rising tide that lifts all ships? For me, focusing on yourself means filling your cup. And what does that mean? Like I said, for me, it's getting into the woods, it's meditating, it's working out consistently, it's working on projects that give me energy, and it's spending time listening to and talking to the people that I most love and I most care about. That being my dog, some of my very close friends, obviously my family, planning trips out, writing bucket list things down and places that I want to go, and not scrolling on social media, not trying to match with people on Tinder or Hinge and set up dates to go out and try to pretend like I'm this person that has all their shit together right now when I'm really not. Okay. And I think there's a lot of power in being vulnerable, and there's a lot of power in saying, you know what, I need to go back and read some books. And I think in particular for men after breakups, this really this falls on our shoulders, right? I've come to the conclusion that no one else is coming to save me. And if no one else is coming to save me, then I have to be able to acquire the knowledge, to use the tools, to build the things and build the life so that I can bring other people into what I've built in the future, right? Obviously, after a breakup, a lot of those things fall apart. The city sort of falls apart. It's up to us to put together brick by brick things back together. And we do that by making the right decision after the right decision after the right decision. Okay. Now I'm at 10 minutes. I'm going to jump to the last question, which is also in tandem with the first two. So the question is how to get up when you are down and not feeling like yourself. Okay. I have been struggling with this the past 2 weeks, especially. If you've noticed, I haven't put out much content, or I haven't been super talkative over text. And yesterday I did delete all of my social media, all of the dating apps, all of the things that I felt like were taking away my attention and distraction. And right now my professional career is a little bit on hold for another couple days, but the past 5 weeks have been a little frustrating for me because I had a little speed bump in my process. And I also 2 weeks ago I finished 10 weeks of testosterone therapy, and I cycled off with nothing. So I went from having synthetic testosterone to having pretty much no testosterone, and that had a huge impact on my mood, my anxiety. I wouldn't call it depression, but maybe more of a suppression of my feelings and emotions, and I found it very difficult to feel like myself. Okay. Now, me knowing a lot of the physiology, obviously anatomy, and some of the patho farm type stuff, I was able to sort of understand what was happening and accept it, but it still made it difficult. It made it difficult to sleep. It made it difficult to sort of make decisions, difficult to go to the gym. I wasn't having as much energy. My recovery is down, and I lost a little bit of weight as well, despite continuing to eat. So it's safe to say that I was not feeling like myself. It was not smart to not cycle off of something, and it can take months to sort of regenerate your testosterone. So I need to do some things that sort of help me out there. And I haven't quite figured out what the next step is that I'm going to take, but understanding how this process works, it's been very interesting to sort of test this out on myself, because I can now say that I've done it firsthand, and I was very curious as to the actual effects of it. So the question, how to get up when you are down and not feeling like yourself. This is done literally second by second. Okay. I had to really take a look at myself and grapple with a lot of different emotions over the past 2 weeks. Again, sort of reeling from a relationship where I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with this person. We had talked about it. We both made promises. And that is something that I have had to accept, right? As human beings, we cannot change the past. We can't change our actions. We can't change our words, nor can we do that for other people. And I think when it comes to the idea of when we wake up and we have a new day, I tend to understand and sort of think this way, that we are co-creating our future by living in our present moment. Okay. And when we live in our present moment and we continuously bring up the past, well, this person said that, and then they did this, and then this happened, we are creating our present moment with the past in mind, which holds us back there. And the longer that we do that, I think it takes just as long living in the present moment to sort of move on from that. Okay. So the best way to do that is to sort of live in the present moment. And every time you think about something from your past, whether it's a traumatic event, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a negative thing in your professional career, I think you need to find a way to try to immediately release that. Because when you bring in things from your past, that's a form of depression. And when you live too far in the future, that's a form of anxiety. So if you are not living in the present moment and instead you're living too far in the future or the past, you're not really creating your present moment, are you? This is how I tend to think. And I try to just tap my chest 3 times every time I think about a negative thing. And I just go, hey, I love that person. I miss that person. I wish them the absolute best. I'm grateful for those opportunities. And that sort of quick thought where I can just, catch it and release it, so to speak, really helps me continuously live in the present moment. There's a couple other mantras that I've come across, right? Wherever my feet are, that's where my mind is. And I also imagine sometimes just dropping a big visual anchor into the present moment. Okay. If I'm looking at something, I will literally just think about metaphorically dropping a big ship anchor. Okay. And these are a couple ways that I try to live in the present moment, but understanding that when you are down and not feeling like yourself, accepting it is the answer. Understanding it's natural, understanding it's okay to not feel like you're 100%. It's okay to not be okay. You're not going to have days that are 10 out of 10 all the damn time. Okay. So a lot of these days, which could be 3s, 4s, 5s for me, maybe a 6 at most, I just accept it. That is how it's been the past couple of weeks for me. And that is fine, because the days will come where I will continuously have 7, 8s, 9s, 10s. Okay. And for weeks, those are coming back. I know that they're not gone forever, and I accept where I am some days. And I feel like people try to just fight their way out of it. All right. That's all I have for that question. I hope that makes sense. These are 3 personal questions that I sort of wanted to share here on episode 8. That does it for 3 Questions Podcast. My name is Cam King. Please head to the site, ckcollective.co. Sign up to be a guest on 3 Questions Podcast if you would like. Email me, comment. I will eventually get these on Instagram as well. But you can find all of the other information down below this info box. 3questionspodcast@gmail.com is the email. And again, submit me questions. I will look them up. I will try to answer them. I'll also put forth some very vulnerable stuff here and when I can. I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Keep your heads up. Even if you're having a bad day, even if you're having a good day, know that that is life. It's all part of the process, and it's all by design. Okay. See you guys in the next one. Take care. Love you long time. Bye.